Sex. The CDC reports by age 18, 55% of teens have already had sexual intercourse. So now how is this relevant to all of us? Well, what happens when your own child or a child that you love and care about has sex and something goes wrong? Now, after great research and being born as one of those accidental babies, my mom having had me while in her senior year in high school, I have always been very intrigued on how to help prevent other young women avoid having what happened to my mother, along with how to help prevent STDs. So with all of this in mind, I believe teenagers should have to take sex education courses and by age 16 should have access to things such as condoms while at school. So to sway your opinion, if you're not already on board with me, we're going to go over the biggest benefits of sex education, including limiting teen pregnancies, limiting the spread of STDs, and also the importance of learning all things sexual from a trusted adult rather than just from one of their friends. So, sex education and access to condoms will help limit teen pregnancies. My mother grew up in a very small town in Holbrook, Arizona. She told me about many young girls who were her friends who wound up pregnant, like mentioned above, herself included. They didn't have access to condoms very well, and they couldn't just go get one because one, she would tell me they were expensive, and two, they were worried about people gossiping about them in this small town. So my mom was one of the very lucky girls who, even though she wound up pregnant throughout her senior year, she still wound up being able to be successful in life with a college degree. Unfortunately, this didn't stop there from being hard times for being pregnant. Like I said above, she's worried about people gossiping. Well, that was a big thing. Second, my mother was very limited in her college degree she could choose because she had to be able to support her and myself as quickly as possible. She was very limited with dating, and she also missed out on the prime time for young adults to go and explore and discover who they really are because she had a small infant at home who relied on her for everything. So neither did my mother or any of the other young girls who she was friends with. None of them had sex education. None of them had access to condoms, which is why I am sure many of them wound up pregnant, whether they had abortions, adoptions, whatever the case may be. Okay? Child Trend says that 57% of teens that are sexually active are using birth control. But what happens when the child who you love or care for is one of those 43%? Then the issue is still so relevant for you. So not only can sex education help limit teen pregnancies, but it can also help teens from getting STDs. So I'm sure many of you grew up knowing the phrase that knowledge is power. So why wouldn't we want children, especially the ones close to our hearts, to have this power? STDs are painful and can be very dangerous. The World Health Organization explains that more than 1 million sexually transmitted infections are acquired every day worldwide. Each year, there's an estimated 376 million new infections, with 1 in 4 being STIs. These include chlamydia, gonorrhea, syphilis, and they continue. In case you've forgotten what STDs look like, I'm going to show you a couple pictures just to refresh your memory. These are pretty graphic, so if you choose to look away, I would do so now, okay? So this is one, okay? This is in a young woman's vagina. And this is another. All of these white spots, well, it's hard to see, they're all sores in the mouth, okay? These can be avoided through using protected material while having sex, such as condoms, okay? Teens may not know this, as silly as that seems to us adults, that through sex education, they can learn these things. So through my research, I came across a story of a young woman named Virginia. She found out at age 18 that she had an STD. She started having sex at age 15, And through those 3 years, she had only been with 3 different men who she loved and she trusted. But as a young person, even as adults, we don't always know who the other person had been with, what STDs they could have, if they even know they have an STD, okay? This young woman now knows, looking back, that if she had had proper sex education, she could have avoided having this STD that she had contracted by 18. So having a good knowledge of these things would have given her the power she needed to avoid this situation. So, lastly, sex education can also help ensure each child has a knowledge base of how to be prepared and sexually protected, like mentioned previously. So, this allows students to learn accurate information about safe sex. Having the talk as a parent is generally kind of awkward and kind of cringy. Why this isn't a big reason why we should have sex education, I feel like it definitely adds. Some parents may just completely avoid the topic because it's awkward and it's uncomfortable. Well, sex education is going to help those children who've had it just glazed over by parents or completely unavoided, or students and children who've just had their friends tell them. It's going to allow these children to have safe, accurate information from trusted adults. Now, parents may be worried that teachers aren't going to be prepared, or they won't conform with the ideas and morals that parents have when it comes to sex. So, for these ideas, I've come up with the idea that we can have church leaders and other trusted adults go through a certified program where they can also teach this course, so that these ideas line up with parents' morals, along with teaching accurate information about how to have safe sex. So, teens need this knowledge. Like I said before, knowledge is power. This will help limit teens from pregnancies and getting STDs. You can't always control your child. Let's help teens get access to contraceptives by the age 16, and having knowledge about sex education, and having the knowledge that sex education can provide. So what can we do to make this change? Let's talk to our local school board leaders, find out what laws are in place for sex education, and look into what Planned Parenthood educators can do at schools near you. Thanks for listening.